Previously on.
Hello and welcome back to the workshop, and welcome to Great Guitar Build-Off 2022. Here I've got a bunch of pieces all cut up to glue up for the neck, so I think we just got to start by gluing this up. We planed it out and it looks great, except for, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it decided to bow off. Alright, so second attempt has gone much more smoothly. It's nice and straight. And we've made some lovely little shavings here. And just like that, we've got all the pockets routed out. They fit nice and smooth, and we've got access to the truss rod. Now I have this lovely board that I got here from Magic Attic Guitars. It is this beautiful piece of Zero Coat, but because of the theme that I'm going for, you notice that this board kind of looks like a landscape, which is going to be the thematic piece to all of this guitar here. So we've got the fretboard all glued on, and everything is nice and squared up. I've already taken my router to the edges here, so everything is trimmed down to the dimensions it needs to be. So I've gone ahead and I've done a few things off camera here, one of which was adding these side dots, which they may or may not show up here on camera, but I've got them in the gold wire so that when the light hits them they pop out. They're kind of hidden in the color of my binding there, which I personally like. Now we've got the frets in, we've got it shaped down, and we've got the frets cut to size. There is going to be some dressing that's going to have to be done to these, which is inevitable, but for now I'm going to set this aside. Hello and welcome back to the GGBO of painting. I think this turned out quite well, and I'm real happy with the results, and I hope you're happy with yours. Boy, am I glad I had the infamous Rob Boston here to paint this out for me. This looks like some tedious work. That guy makes it look easy. Am I right? Alright, now that we've got it poured, all we gotta do is wait for this one to dry here. And then once that dries, we can add some more layers onto it to build out the full part of the body. Alright, so I've done another 3 or 4 layers on top of my image here. And I have now filled the mold. It has been almost 5 days, 6 days almost. I think that it is well cured enough that I can pop it out of the mold and we'll see how she looks. I'm pretty happy with the result of that, and that image has turned out great on the top, which is what you're mainly going to see. So now that I got my neck pocket fitting all nice and snug, I don't have anything glued in yet, but we need to figure out where this bridge is going to go so that I can figure out where exactly my pickup is going to land. Alright, so as you can see, I've got my neck pocket all routed out. I've got my pickup pocket all routed out. The holes are drilled for my bridge. All I need to do is figure out where my control cavity is and sand the junk out of this. So now I've roughly got it down to shape. I don't want to do much else until I get the neck glued in. So we're going to get that glued in so that we can figure out where our control cavity is going to go. Alright, so now that we've got it roughly shaped, I've gone ahead and contoured this here. I've just now got to figure out my control cavity, which I think I'm just going to keep small and minimal. I tell you what, working with this resin is a real dusty and a bit messy. But now that we've gotten here, I've got all my pockets drilled out. We're ready to go. So I think this is a good spot to leave this video for now. Hello and welcome back to the workshop. Now, we've made quite a lot of progress. I've gone ahead and put some finish on here. Now, this normally takes about 8 to 10 days to cure, but as of today, I don't really have that time to sit and wait around. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I can and still give this time to finish curing. So I need to go ahead and oil the fretboard, which means I need to unwrap this and have something to hang it on. So I'm going to go ahead and put an eye hook in the end here where the strap button is going to go. And then from there, I'm just going to go ahead and do a light sanding on my back of my neck just to get it prepped. And then we're going to go ahead and put some oil on it so we can get moving along with this. So let's get to it. All right, I got my eye hook in there. I've got it cleaned. I've got it roughly sanded down to about 500 grit just to get it nice and smooth for the oil. And big shout out to Tim for his center square because that helped me line up where that hole is going to go. So now all I got to do is throw some oil in this, hang her up, let her dry, and do a couple more coats of that. And hopefully everything will be ready to go to buff out and put together by the time everything dries. We're just going to go hang this up and let it dry. Alright, so now that I've spent some time buffing this out and got it to a nice clear gloss here so that we can better see the image, I think it's time to start putting parts on it so that hopefully I can finish in time. So, let's get to it. All right, so great guitar build off has come and gone. I am really gritting at the wire right now, as this is only a couple days before the date is done. So I apologize for the quick and dirty demo. Didn't leave me a whole lot of time to record and edit this. So without further ado, just as I've done with all my other builds, we will go through everything on this guitar, and we will also go through what I really like about this guitar and what I don't like about this guitar. Because, let's face it, we're all builders, and we always find something after the fact that we don't like. So, without that, let's go over the guitar here. So this is a resin body with a Bob Ross landscape in the center of it, and I am just so happy with how that turned out. It's a little unfortunate that the parts are so big and they cover so much of that image, but let's be honest, when push comes to shove, I know what it is, I know what it's supposed to be. This has a Nova Guitars bridge for headless, 7-string, with a matching headpiece. The unfortunate part was, originally I was going to do a tremolo with this, but the Alnikov's headless bridge that I ordered came with some issues and needed some milling to be done with it. And to save myself time, I ended up just scrapping that idea, tabling it for another project, and going with the set bridge instead. The downside to this bridge, in my opinion, is it has great tuning stability, and once you get it in tune, even with a fresh set of strings, it did not drop tuning all that much. The downside with this type of headless design is that you have to pull the string super tight and then fine tune it with the knurl knob down here, so it doesn't have the range of rotation that a regular tuning key has. So if you ever decide to use these things, you have to keep that in mind. But once you can get past that, this is a wonderful bridge, and the tuning stability is wonderful on it, and I could not be happier with that switch. So what's next? We got a custom jack plate made out of the same red heart that is in the design here. Same with my pickup plate. Now this pickup is a Porter pickup. I had this custom made for a different guitar entirely, and I ended up having to scrap that guitar. Not before being able to test out this pickup, and I liked the sound of it. Now, when I had gotten this wired, I was really into Duncan distortions, and I liked the hot pickups. The downside, as you can hear in the demo, is that there is a bit of hum behind it because these are very high output pickups, and I had them wire it just a little hotter than a normal Duncan distortion. But the main key point of this pickup was that I was able to get a slanted pickup to go with my fan fret design. So I ended up just taking that concept and matching the same fan that I had on it originally for that other guitar that I had to scrap. Now going forward, I have a lovely zero coat fretboard that I just adore. Thanks to Magic Attic Guitars for sending it to me. This zero coat looks like a mountainscape, which really solidified the design concept for the body. And I was even on the fence at that point, but when he sent me a picture of this and told me he'd send it to me, I was like, well, now I have to do it. And I love that the mountains line up straight with the mountains in this design here too, so it's all kind of one homogeneous image, which is wonderful. We have a brass nut at the top here that is adjustable. I have another headless that sits back here that also has a brass nut, and I loved the ease of setup for that, so I decided to do it on this one too because this is also headless. I apologize for the bells. We have a new kitten that is hopping around in the background. He's attacking my cables and things. Anyway, I fell in love with that adjustable brass nut, so I had to go that route again, being that this is another headless. This is now the second headless that I have done. As far as the wood choices, we've got wenge with a striped pattern of maple and mahogany, and then our joint here also has a strip of that same red heart to give it a nice contrast. And I like this in contrast to the wenge because it's almost black, so it gives it that deep black and red color, which is fantastic. I have enough wenge to make at least one more neck, maybe two more, and I think I'm going to do the same thing on there. I might do a pair where I do a red heart one and a purple heart one. The reason I didn't go purple heart on this one is because when I was putting them next to each other, I figured with the stain that the purple heart would almost blend into it. But now looking back on it and seeing the dark color that this wenge had turned into, I'm thinking that I'll like that contrast. So next time I'm going to do that as well. But I will for sure be doing this same thing again. Now that we know the specs, I love the shape. It is comfortable. This is a shape that I've worked on for going on a decade now, and I have finally been tuning it in over the years to make it more and more comfortable, specifically for myself. For anyone else who suffers with heavier guitars that are less comfortable to sit and play with. Now for the downsides. This resin is heavy, which really worried me when I pulled it out of the mold. And I threw it on the scale at that point, and I've yet to throw it back on the scale again. But before I did any carving, it was almost 10 pounds with just the body. And I mean, I can feel that holding it out like this. It's probably added another pound to it with all the hardware and everything on it. The other downside being that this is the first really large resin pour that I've ever done. I've only ever done small batch things too, so the back is kind of lackluster. There's a couple gaps behind my image back here, which I was not thrilled about. But I already knew that with the cavities and all the parts and hardware holes and everything that it wasn't going to be the most gorgeous look to begin with, because you have to have holes to run all the wiring. So I'm not thrilled with the back. I think that if I ever do this again with the image, I may chamber the body and make a back plate to just cover it. And I may go back and do that to this one too. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm not the most thrilled with the back of this thing. But again, most of the time you're going to be looking at the front anyway, so it's not like it's the end of the world. The back will be hidden. With that being said, I really hope you like my entry into the Great Guitar Build-Off. I had a lot of fun messing around with the resin. I don't know that I'll do it again anytime soon, but I would love to do it again. I learned a lot of things along the way to make it better next time. And, you know, all in all, you build it and you learn from any mistakes that you do before. This was intended for me anyway. I had recently gotten rid of my 7-string. My 7-string was purchased to tide me over until I could build myself one, and now that I have built myself one, I am very happy with it. And I hope that you like it too. With that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.